Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a main series topic on Election Commission and the recent controversies surrounding it, as well as few of the landmark cases with regarding to your Election Commission. Alright, this video is presented to you by faculty Sushma KP. Let's get into the video. In this topic, we will be discussing as to why is it in use, what is the constitutional framework behind it, the evolution of electoral system, the composition and appointment of Election Commission. We will also be discussing about the powers and functions, key initiatives, challenges, and on a specific note, we will be discussing about your background and purpose of your SIR and the controversies that it is happening, how the political parties are viewing it, how the civil section is viewing it, how judiciary is taking its stance on this SIR. We will also see some judicial landmarks with respect to Election Commission on the whole, and we will see what are the recommendations offered by the committees for improvement and making the most important democratic setup of Election Commission strong, independent, autonomous, at the same point of time a responsible, accountable body. And last, we will see a way forward and a possible mains question from this topic. Alright. Now, why is it in use? First and foremost, if you see, this year 2025 marks 75 years of Election Commission of India, which was established in 25th January 1950. Also 2011 it was observed as National Voters Day. If this is one side, the other reason why we are discussing this is because of your Appointments Act, which was brought about in 2023, and also Special Intensive Revision or SIR in Bihar. Alright. Next, what are the constitutional frameworks? It starts from Article 324 to 329, which speaks about your 324 to 329 conduct of elections, legislative powers, elections to parliament, state legislature, to the office of president, to the office of vice president, and also no discrimination with respect to electoral roles and powers of parliament and state legislatures. Okay, this is pretty much the static content. So what is the statutory backing, or let's say the act in discussion? That is your Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioners Act 2023, which has replaced the 1991 Act. Alright. According to this Act, we can see the governing procedure, salary, removal, all of this spoken about your Election Commission. The next important thing we will be seeing is about your evolution of electoral system. So I am just offering you brief insights as to what the background is, then the controversies etc. we will discuss in detail. Alright. So what is the evolution of electoral system? Yes, see, 1952 was your first general election. In the first general election, a lot of changes were introduced because at that point of time the population was also large and illiteracy was also larger a number. So to combat illiteracy, the concept of symbols were introduced in the first general election. Then comes in 1989, a substantial change was made where the voting age was lowered to 18 from 21 years. Understanding? Now, because we have reduced the voting age from 21 to 18 years, that means a large number of people would be involved. Understanding? The constitution speaks about only one, that is the Chief Election Commissioner. Now just the one Chief Election Commissioner having to do the entire, this kind of massive project would become very difficult. So in 1993, a permanent 3-member election commission, that is your Chief Election Commissioner plus other election commissioners, were introduced. This number was subject to vary. Understanding? At the same point of time, an EPIC card was also introduced, that is elector's photo identity card, like a plastic card. In 2013, VVPAT was introduced, voter verifiability, and also nota option was introduced after Supreme Court mandated it, as in your none of the above option, to showcase the voter has to, let's say if he is not satisfied with any of the candidates, he has to voice out his opinion. For that provision, nota was brought in. Then in 2018, the electoral scheme bond was launched. As of 2024, it is removed by your Supreme Court, it struck down under stating that it was very much masking anonymity and opacity was there in political funding. Understanding? Now, what are the technological interpretations in or technological integrations in election with respect to election commission bringing it over the course of years? First thing is your electoral voting machine. Understanding? Next is your C-Vigil app, wherein if the citizens find any model code of conduct violations, they can report it there. Then is your NERPAP, that is National Electoral Roll Purification and Authentication Program. See, under this, your election commission is given the task of making sure that they revise the electoral rolls, remove the duplicate entries. Understanding? So, your present Bihar elections, before your assembly elections, the SIR that is to be carried out, this SIR is actually coming under the ambit of your ECI. Understanding? Next, with regarding to the composition appointment of your chief election commissioner and other election commissioner alongside removal, if you see, there is one chief election commissioner presently. As of present, we have one chief election commissioner and two other election commissioners who will have equal powers, that is one CEC chief election commissioner plus two election commissioners. All of them have equal powers. One thing is, if in case there is a differing opinion, they will decide it based on majority. Okay, the tenure is 6 years or 65 years, and also the removal of chief election commissioner is mentioned in that of the constitution, which says it is similar to that of a removal of a Supreme Court judge. But the removal of election commissioner is based on the recommendation of chief election commissioner. One of the reasons in the reforms also they are stating that why only for the election commissioner, it is the chief election commissioner deciding. Why not create a mandate for them also? Understanding? Next, I told you there is a Appointment Act of 2023. First listen to me. According to this act, this 2023 act states that, okay, there will be one search committee. The search committee will headed by a law minister, two senior bureaucrats who will be of their secretary and above rank. They will shortlist 5 names and they will give it to the selection committee. There is one search committee, there is one selection committee. The selection committee will comprise of a prime minister, leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, that is your parliament. Then is a union minister. Now this union minister will be nominated by the prime minister. One thing is, earlier in your Anup Baranwal case, in Anup Baranwal case, the Supreme Court had held that until an act is brought in, the members would be Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of India, CJI. According to this act, it has removed Chief Justice of India and brought a Union Minister. So, somewhere the criticism of the act is that there is executive interference or executive, let's say the executive is having a stronger hold over the office of election commissioner. Now, many committees in the reforms also we will see, they will tell add Chief Justice of India also in your selection committee. Understanding? So, this leads to executive dominance. Coupled with your executive dominance, coupled with no ban on your election commissioners, further employment in government will or might have a possibility of favor or favoritism, especially in politically sensitive areas or elections. So, what is the powers and functions of in the administrative functions to conduct election and also create your electoral rolls, election schedules, spending, allocation of party symbols, understanding? Now, with respect to advisory functions or quasi-judicial functions, what do they have? See, first and foremost, with respect to disqualification of MPs or MLAs, and also quasi-judicial is over the party recognition. whatever your election commission tells, that is the final. And also in case any model code of conduct violations is happening, then the decision of election commission is final as to what rule it has to put. And another important thing, if we see from the key initiatives that is launched by the election commission, that will be your EVM, electronic voting machine, and VVPAT, that is voter verifiability paper audit trial. And also it introduced sweep. Sweep is systematic voter education and electoral participation, that is electoral awareness, let's say for your first time voters. Okay, so basically this is a awareness campaign. Then we also discussed about your C-Vigil app, where your citizens can report model code of conduct violations. It is based on your real-time monitoring. Alright, so what are the other key initiatives they have introduced? National electoral roll purification. This is where your SIR of your Bihar also will come in. And also international role is, they are the founding members of AWEB, or Association of World Election Bodies. Understanding, so as to make sure that it is on par with the 21st century globalized and more inclusive form of your election. Then it is also a member of CN or Commonwealth Electoral Network. Understanding? Now, if we see what are the challenges, again first thing is your appointment process, where we see executive let's say dominance, and also there is a possibility of let's say favoritism or favor or biasness that we can see. Also there is no permanent secretariat for your election commission, which means they have to rely on the government staff, and especially during your politically sensitive elections this could backfire, or there could be a possibility of favor. And also the removal disparity, chief election commissioner is removed on the similar grounds of Supreme Court judge, whereas the other election commissioners are removed based on the recommendation of chief election commissioner. And one of the major criticisms is, or the possibility of again fear, favor and all this is, there is no ban on further appointment in government services. Next, what are the other operational issues? Electoral wrong management, where we see a lot of outdated entries, certain entries are missing, right? And also we see wrongful deletions. When we say wrongful deletions, we will introduce the word of your Bihar SIR issues. See, again here I am just introducing the topic, further down in depth we will discuss. Where there is more than 65 lakh deletions, and they are mass deletion concerns are happening. This is protested by your opposition. This is also protested by many of the civil society organizations. People feel like this would impact the poor, and also the concern of using the identification documents. For example, Supreme Court in Justice Puttaswamy case has held that Aadhaar cannot be used as proof of citizenship. But many here are claiming that they are using Aadhaar as a mere source for deletion of data. So this also comes into the scuffle. Understanding? With respect to operational and electoral malpractices, what we observe is technology and trust issue. There is still a lot of security issues regarding your EVM, and also there is a limited VVPAT verification, and also there is a lack of transparency in these data, that is they want to add totalizer machines to the VVPAT. If you see with respect to media and digital challenges, yes, your election commission has MCC, but this MCC with respect to your social media or with respect to paid news, fake news has become very difficult to monitor, and the star campaigners of political parties are directly appealing to the caste. Understanding, the things which are not generally allowed in MCC, this is more of abused or more of loopholes they have found, the star campaigners, and very limited enforcement on them. And MCC, your model code of conduct, is lacking statutory backing. Understanding, and also deepfake contents have been increased in a very large content. There is also an issue of inner party democracy deficit, or dynasty politics is continuing. There is no one version of trying to deal with that with respect to election commission, and also no statutory regulation. Understanding? Next, if we see with respect to the important topic at hand, that is your background of SIR, otherwise special intensive revision. See, this is an actually annual mechanism or annual procedure, where every year they will update electoral rolls before major elections. Understanding? In front of Bihar Assembly elections, they focus this exercise under your section 21 of your RPA Act of 1950. What is the point or aim or objective of doing this special intensive revision? Again, I told you one version is annual. This is special. Special meaning done only for this purpose. What is that purpose? Ensure purity of electoral list, bring accuracy of voter data, and include all eligible voters. So on its face, it is as what it is telling, but the issue comes in the aftermath. Let's see how the process is. First and foremost, when I tell this is special, reason is because this is carried out by your, this is carried out by your booth level officers, where they go door to door, verify, and based on that they will add or delete the information. Understanding? Alongside that, they will cross check it with official database. Now, the issue that is coming is, the main thing that your booth level officers told was, we will remove the names of deceased voters, migrated persons, duplicate entries, ineligible voters, children, minors, non-citizens. These names will be removed. Up until here, it's fine. But the thing that happened is in the aftermath. More than 65 lakh voters or names were deleted from your Bihar voter or electoral rolls. The 65 lakh compromises to almost your 8 to 9% of your total electorate, and deletion of this much amount of large data will now raise eyebrows as to questions. Were there really this much number of deletions needed? For which your election commission told, yes, it was there because there was a large number of migration that we saw, and also many people permanently relocated, and many have migrated. Because of this is the data. Now this raised lot of concerns, and also concerns wherein the reality, if you start seeing, there were a lot of deletions which were factually incorrect, which means there were many administrative errors and also procedural lapses. Meaning what? Many times recently now a 105-year-old person in Bihar was showcased to be 35-year-old. Right? And also this also became an issue where the age were wrong or the names were wrong, or sometimes they were deleted. And many people have even accused that if we were not able to provide the documents of, let's say, Aadhaar card, they have deleted our names. But this is violative of your Supreme Court's verdict in Justice Puttaswamy case of 2019, where they said that Aadhaar card cannot be used as a proof of citizenship. And using only Aadhaar card, if you try to remove people, then that would mean a lot of citizens would also lose the right. And one more issue that happened with respect to your SIR is they published the list as to whose names are deleted. Many people did not come to know about that list at all. So this again brought in questions. Your political parties have alleged that this is targeted disenfranchisement to make sure the poor, Dalits, and people belonging to vulnerable sections are to be purposefully removed from electoral rolls. And also they are telling that specific communities are being affected. And this would mean that poor voter impact, Dalit voters are removed and minorities are removed. And this would mean that there will be a shift towards a particular political party, and this would close the constituencies targeting towards a particular party. Understanding? Even the civil societies, your NGOs, all of those claim that adequate time was not given and adequate education or awareness on this voter list was not given to the citizens, and also house to house verification by your booth level officers were very much rushed. And one thing was, there was very insufficient time given for people to see, because very end they have seen and they have realized that their names are missing. Another thing is the criticism being, the booth level officers heavily relied on your Aadhaar, and as and when again and again being repeatedly telling Aadhaar is not to be considered as a proof of citizenship. And for many people, when the booth level officers visited the house, and if people are not there, they have called that as the people are not there, they have migrated. So based on these verifications and all which were hastily done, right, there are many wrongful datas. This erroneous deletions also mean that many times living voters are declared as dead. Resident voters, that is who are residing in the particular places, were declared as shifted. Migrant laborers were deleted because they were not physically present. And your BLO, they kind of missed between temporary migrants and permanent migrants, and for everyone they have mentioned they have relocated. Because of this, there is a lot of data mismatch, wrongful removals, and also your verification errors. Supreme Court again has held that public display of draft rolls should happen, time should be given for objection, and also opportunity to correct errors. This was already done by your election commission. Your election commission, we already gave them the display of draft rolls up until the final rolls, but the reality was up until the final rolls, people did not know that their names were missing. And time for objection was given, but again the time which was given was less, and very end pay people realized that their names were in the list. An opportunity to correct errors, again here the errors which were done because of your improper verifications, right? Very few voters knew about the deletion concept, and there was no time to appeal on this, right? So now your judiciary intervened and told that the voter rolls are the foundations of a democracy and that should not be hastened, hurried or used to any particular advantage. It is also asked for deletion must follow the due process, verification must be there, and opportunity for correction must be given, which means adequate procedure must be followed. And another same point of time, your election commission told that this deletion was necessary. And they also acknowledge that yes, there have been certain erroneous deletions. We accept that. We will also give corrective measures. Judiciary highlighted that anyone purposefully doing, any official purposefully doing the deletions must also be brought into action. And also it acknowledged that, judiciary acknowledged that this might create trust deficit. Make sure that this process has to be not fearful for the people as to they losing their identity, because at the end of the day their political identity is part of their rights that has been guaranteed. So what are the reforms suggested after your SIR, that is post your Bihar SIR, is non-partisan agencies to conduct independent audit, social audit mechanism should be brought in, and also third party auditing, not someone involving of this. Next, 60 plus days of public display of the list. Draft rolls should be widely available to the people. SMS alerts should be received. And social media alerts also on the same has to be done. With regarding to the voting rights of your migrants, they have suggested for remote voting options. If they are not able to physically come, so they have to provide a remote voting options. Constituency based flexibilities must be there. And also your Aadhaar should be used as one of the documents for verification, not as the only document for verification. Understanding? See, automatic deletions should not happen, that is you cannot use AI for deletions. The AI can only assist human beings, it can never replace human beings. Understanding? Real time monitoring with respect to online dashboards, and citizens should be able to check this real time data. And also during the division drives, transparency must be ensured in all the process. And one more important thing is negligent deletions should be avoided, which means the officials must be held accountable. And also penalties must be given for those officials who bypass the standards. Now with respect to the entire concept of election commission, we'll see what are some of the landmark judicial judgments, especially in your TN Session versus Union of India case 1995, where they held that let the election commission be a multi-member body. And in your ADR versus Union of India case and PUCL case also, when the candidates questioned, is it not the right of the citizens to know about the candidates? Judiciary upheld, yes, it is important, and also it is a right to your under Article 19 right to freedom of speech and expression pay, that candidate that people electing should be aware of the candidates income status, educational status, and also criminal background. In Lily Thomas versus again in your Lily Thomas case, it was held that disqualification based on conviction more than 2 years. And in Subramanya Swamy case, it was held that VVPATs had to be mandatory. In a Subramanyam Balaji case, again they were discussing on a freebies case. Now again with respect to the freebies culture, it is now pending in front of a larger bench case. And ADR versus Union, they held that in 2024 that your electoral bonds were unconstitutional because they were opaque political funding. With respect to different committee recommendations on trying to bring changes into election commission, the first would be your Dinesh Goswami committee, which wanted to give a statutory backing for a model code of conduct, and also changes in the appointment reforms, that is let's say to involve your CJI also, but in 2023 removed the CJI. Indrajit Gupta committee had that state funding of recognized party so as to reduce the money spent on the elections. Law Commission 255th report stated the decriminalization, that is basically it spoke about a creation of an independent secretariat, inner party democracy, and also decriminalization. Now in the second ARC report, one of the main things it speaks about is financial transparency, because one thing if you see, let's say a far established party will have more money to spend than a less established party. And also, when I am going to tell you this data, you 2000, let's say the recent elections itself. The recent elections costed almost the spending has been towards 1 lakh crores. 1 lakh crores has been spent on the elections alone. Understanding? And Kovind committee, your Ramnath Kovind committee has also spoken about your simultaneous elections. Now, what is the way forward that we can go about? First and foremost, we will start with appointment reforms. See, the appointment should have a selection committee which will have both your Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of India also to be involved, to make sure executive dominance will not be there. Another thing is removal protection should be given same for your Chief Election Commissioner as well as to your election commissioners. And then with the post retirement, see, as of now there is no ban on your working in the government post retirement, but that has to be bought in. Next is with respect to financial independence, anything with respect to your election commission has to be charged on the consolidated fund of India so as to maintain the independence, and a permanent secretariat has to be brought in. And administrative independence also has to be given, that is where we said your election commission should be given a separate secretariat so as to not rely only on the government officials. You see, again, other reforms could be your model code of conduct can be statutarized, that is backing can be brought in, legal backing. Also a single constituency per candidate to contest rules can be brought in. Expand VVPAT and also introduce totalizer machines connected to your VVPAT for more accountability. And also external audits has to be brought from third neutral party. And also use a lot of AI based detection of hate speech in order to reform your media that we spoke about, that your election commission is right now not able to address. Deepfake monitoring, create social media and transparency, fact check protocols, facial recognitions, and at the same point of time maintain your privacy safeguards. With respect to political and electoral culture, mandatory on inner party democracy, cap on party expenditure, and also a sustainable plan should be given by the party on the freebies that they will offer, because it should not act as a burden on the state government. Yes, and they should also give a fiscal roadmap for the manifestos that they give out during your election period of time. And one main thing is boost the turnout between your migrants, women. The women participation has been very less compared to the global level. So at the end, the reform focus should be about your autonomy, transparency, inclusivity, and your governance. Now, a possible mains question from this topic could be, examine the significance of recent Supreme Court interventions in strengthening electoral transparency and accountability in India. See, for this topic, look at the same process as to what are the landmark judicial judgments and how these things with respect to inner party democracy, social media, monitoring the hate speech, and also you can give the committee recommendations. You can mention the issues that we have seen with your Bihar SIR. Understanding? So you can mention all of those. With this, we have come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.